Picture this: your mind trying to tune into its own unique signal, but it's drowned out by the noise of everyone else. You scroll, you compare. It feels almost automatic, doesn't it? That's because it is. We were conditioned to compare, trained from the very beginning. At school, we watched grades. On playgrounds, we measured who won. Now, it's likes and stories and strangers' highlight reels. And somewhere in all of it, a question keeps creeping in. Am I enough? But here's the part no one told you. You weren't meant to be a replica. You were never wired to be a copy of someone else. Your mind, it has its own blueprint. It sees the world in ways no one else can. It feels and processes at its own speed. It moves with its own rhythm. That's not a defect. That's not something to fix. That's your genius. Biologists and psychologists tell us we evolved social comparison bias. It's a brain shortcut, telling us who is richer, smarter, more successful. On its own, it's harmless. But when you make it your inner measure, that's where the trouble starts. When comparison triggers anxiety or envy, it becomes your enemy. And the mind is tricky. When someone else shines, your brain might shrink back. That's upward comparison, looking at someone better off and feeling less. Sometimes it sparks motivation, but often it just magnifies insecurity. If your self-esteem is already low, you tend to lean on downward comparison, looking at someone worse off to feel better. But that boost is fake and temporary. It sits on a shaky foundation of insecurity. Your brain launches these judgments automatically. It doesn't pause and ask if they're helpful, but you can. Step in. Notice the moment you compare. That flicker of thought. Just say, that happened. And then pause. Ask yourself, does this serve me? When a thought of envy or inadequacy surfaces, follow up with a simple question. So what? It sounds odd, but it is powerful. It often dissolves the storm. Picture your internal life, messy, complex, full of unseen struggles. And theirs, you only see a curated highlight reel. So remind yourself, that perfect image isn't the full picture. You don't know their doubts, their invisible wounds. True freedom comes when you stop outsourcing your identity. Stop treating other people's lives as benchmarks. You're not built for someone else's mold. Think of legends like Oprah or LeBron. They never wasted time measuring themselves against icons before them. They focused on their own journey, their own craft. Your journey is yours. Your mind is wiring things uniquely. And inside, that wiring is creativity, perspective, strengths that no one else shares. In fact, research shows our brains literally look different. A different structure, a personalized perspective. That uniqueness is a power source. When comparison creeps in, shift your focus. Instead of asking, who's better, ask, what do I bring? Count the blessings that belong only to your story. Think of the people who believe in you, skills you've developed, challenges you've grown through. You can also create habits that pull you back into your center. Keep a gratitude journal. Write down 3 things you did today that feel meaningful to you. Find someone who supports your growth, not someone to push you into comparison. Build a circle where encouragement replaces competition. If social media lights your envy, adjust your settings. Mute accounts that spark comparison. Curate your feed so it uplifts rather than triggers your self-worth meter. You can even try a mind trick. When you catch yourself comparing, ask, would I swap places with that person? Often the answer surprises you. The shiny picture doesn't come with their backstory. Know that comparisons aren't all bad. They're part of being human. They can motivate, but only if you keep control. When you make upward comparison fuel for learning, not self-judgment, you harness its light side. You're not trying to beat anyone else. You're learning your own pace. You're nurturing your own progress. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a muscle you build. Notice the comparison. Pause. Ask, so what? Then shift inward. Ask, what do I value? What path am I on? What small action reflects who I am becoming? If you stumble, it's okay. Just return to your center. the present. Practice kindness with yourself. Silence the critic. Notice the inner voice. Breathe through comparison triggers. Gently guide yourself back. Your mind works differently. That's not a disadvantage. It's your edge. Your brain processes differently, perceives differently, creates differently. Use that. Own that. Trust that path belongs to you. Comparison fades when your own journey shines brighter than someone else's. Stay curious about your unique path. Stay curious about your mind's rhythm. And let compassion for yourself replace judgment. Because your mind works differently. And you being you is enough. Let's bring it all back home. You've been walking through a world that whispers constantly. Look at them. Measure up. Keep pace. But you don't have to listen. That voice isn't yours. It's borrowed. It's built from ads, social media, schoolyard memories, family expectations. None of that defines who you are. When you stop comparing yourself, you give your mind space to breathe. You allow your energy to come back home, to you. You start to hear your own inner voice again. That voice might be quiet at first, but it grows. It speaks in your tone, with your pace, at your rhythm. And it's wiser than you think. You've got a life to live, not someone else's, not a filtered version, but the real thing. That means owning your highs and your lows, your wins and your lessons. Because everything you've been through, that shapes how your mind sees the world. No one else sees it like you do. No one else thinks quite like you. That's not a flaw. That's a feature. You don't need to match anyone. Not in looks, not in speed, not in success. If you try to mimic another life, you miss out on the one that was built just for you. You miss the opportunity to live as your whole self, fully, freely, and with intention. Even if the world pushes perfection, you don't need it. What you need is truth. Truth about what matters to you. Truth about what gives you peace. Truth about the things that feel right in your soul. And that truth doesn't come from comparison. It comes from reflection. It comes from curiosity. It comes from paying attention to how your mind moves, what lights you up, what calms you down, and what pulls you forward. You're not here to chase someone else's version of enough. You're here to define your own. And the beauty is, you're already enough. You don't need to add more layers or badges to prove it. Just look at your life. Look at the ways you've grown. Look at the hard days you've survived. Look at the quiet ways you show up even when no one's clapping. That's strength. That's worth. That's you. It doesn't matter if you're slower, quieter, more anxious, more emotional, more analytical, or more sensitive than someone else. It doesn't matter if your ideas don't match the trend. It doesn't matter if you're still figuring things out. All that matters is that you're still trying, still showing up, still learning, still growing. Your path doesn't need to be loud to be valuable. It just needs to be real. Your mind doesn't need to be fast to be brilliant. It just needs to be understood. And you don't need to be like them. You need to be like you. That's the whole point. So next time you catch yourself looking sideways, take a breath. Take a step back. Say to yourself, my mind works differently. And that's okay. Then come back to your path. Water your own garden. Nurture your own mind. And trust that being different is not something to fix. It's something to honor. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not less. You're just wired your own way. And once you stop comparing and start trusting, you unlock a freedom most people never find. Stay in that space. That quiet, grounded space where your voice is loudest. Keep coming back to that, because that's where your real power lives. And it's been with you all along.